when people say, I have ADHD or I have anxiety, it's a way to stay safe, right? We love as human beings, I don't know, we like labels. I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat. Like we love an identity, but I feel like those identities can keep us safe and people like that. But why do you think people resist the things that can help them?
If you're tired of that surface level self-help, welcome to the Hustle for Happiness family, the podcast that challenges you. We're cutting through the fluff, we're breaking patterns, and we're shifting the way you see yourself and your life. Because let's be honest, growth isn't optional. It's so necessary. I'm Courtney Brooke, your host, certified life coach, life bestie. Thank you for showing up for you. Now, let's get into it.
All right, Lauren, I am so happy you're here on Hustle for Happiness podcast. I'm in San Diego. We have like the same path of like life and living here. For those people that are just tuning in, do you want to do like a mini intro or how did we get here kind of thing?
Hi, everyone. We actually recorded on my podcast, the Fieldswell podcast, about 3 weeks ago. And you told me you were coming to San Diego, which is my hometown.
Yes.
And we decided to record in person for you today. So from here, grew up show jumping, riding horses, which we talked about. And that is kind of my North Star. And it is what, developed me into the resilient, determined, hardworking woman, was like being that little girl at the stables day in and day out, riding ponies, competing. And similar to you, when we talk about stories of like pain to purpose, your adversity into your advantage, I was in a horse accident that completely changed my life and has put me on this path of personal development, self-help, pursuing one's full potential. I'm going to punt it over to you to kind of dive deeper into that.
Yeah, I mean, a horse accident, like that's why people don't ride horses. And I think maybe as a child you were drawn to horses, or have you always been jumping, or was it later in life? Like tell us how you even got with horse jumping and show riding. Like that's so cool. I used to drive on the way to the beach into Encinitas and always look at those stables and be like, I want to be that girl and you're that girl. So like bring us into like the world of just horse jumping and the mindset of that. That's crazy.
Sure. So I started riding at 6 years old. I grew up in a community where there was over 40 or 50 miles of trails in San Diego. And both of my parents rode horses. My parents rode Western. And so I always said I wanted a pony, to the point where we'd be at the San Diego fairgrounds at the fair. And they'd have the circle where you could ride the pony around the circle. I would ask my mom to go talk to them at the front booth to ask if we could buy the pony to take it home. That was a no. But eventually I was super persistent and got my own pony. Her name was Katie when I was 6 years old. And that was the start of everything. At one point, I was even homeschooled because I was spending so much time at the stables, competing, riding. It was my life force.
And then you fell, or what happened?
So I was actually competing at the Del Mar Fairgrounds in the stadium arena when I was 14 years old, and was in the junior jumpers. So I was being timed and trying to make it around the arena as quickly as possible without knocking over any of the jumps. And went around a tight turn, squeezed the horse to take off for the jump. And he did leave the ground, fell. I went flying and just went lights out and woke up in the hospital 3 days later from a coma with a traumatic brain injury.
A coma?
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
14 years old?
14 years old.
Like when you woke up, do you remember?
I remember waking up, still having the oxygen tube in my throat, and I looked to my right and I saw my dad there asleep in the chair holding my jacket and my show number.
Oh my gosh.
And that was my first memory.
I have the chills, and not just because it's rainy weather here in San Diego for the first time in ever, but like the story, like how did you overcome that? Like, did you want to get back on that horse or?
So I think at 14, it's really hard to understand the severity of an event like that. You're not super in tune with like who you are as a person at 14 years old. You're really trying to figure out what life is, what's going on. I was a freshman in high school, and the doctors had limiting beliefs about my future, said things to my parents like, she may have to relearn how to speak, may have trouble with memory retention, may become violent, may have difficulty walking, and don't put her back in school. Like, she's going to have super, really intense brain fog. Don't put her back. And thankfully, my parents really believed in me. They knew that I had a resilient mindset, and we kind of just carried on. But pause for a second. After leaving the hospital, I walked out of the main door of the hospital into the parking lot, and there was ash falling from the sky because there had been a fire that raged through San Diego while I was in the hospital. And so we were evacuated from our home. There was ash falling from the sky. I was coming out of a 3-day coma with a traumatic brain injury. And I was like, what is happening?
I remember those fires. We got evacuated too. Like with the fires happening in LA and moving out of California, side tangent, like fire season's a real thing here. I'm sure waking up 3 days later, like what's happening? Talk to me a little bit about learning from your parents and seeing that belief in you. Like, how amazing is that?
Yeah. So thankfully, my parents had me late in life. They were 44 years old when they had me. Both had kind of found their chosen career path. And they were just relaxed. My mom had a son from a prior marriage. They had raised him together. And so it wasn't their first child. They were set in their career, had their home together. And so they gave me a really long leash and encouraged me to pursue my dreams and my goals and kind of taught me that like, there's no dream that's too big, go after it. And I think I'm so grateful. I formed, now having a background with a master's in psychology, I formed a secure attachment with both of my parents because they made me feel loved and supported. And again, encouraged me to go after whatever my heart desired. And so I think that set a really beautiful stage for my life.
And like me thinking completely opposite, I think about like the opposite. I had to be my own cheerleader, but to have your parents as a cheerleader coming out of something so traumatic, how do you think personally now reflecting as that younger girl, what would you tell her to this day of like when she's waking up? What would you speak to her on?
So here's what I would say. I would say like, don't listen to the limiting beliefs that anyone has about you or your future. Mindset is everything. Believe that you can and like push yourself to take that next step forward. And that like you have no idea how amazing your life can be if you just like keep working towards your goals.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, I'm pumped up. But it's true. Like the doctors, how many of us give doctors credit to control our lives? Like I was told last year, James and I were trying to have kids. Some of you guys listening obviously know this story, but they told me I was infertile, 40%. Like what gives them that choice? My sister-in-law was told she had a 50% chance of having kids because one of her fallopian tubes was closed. Well, she got naturally pregnant on the third, after the third kid. No, she had 2 kids. She had 2 kids having her third, but so much power to these doctors.
Yeah. And even beyond that, and like to your point, Courtney, so many of us are walking around living by the limiting beliefs that others have projected upon us. And so it's so important to stop for a second and take accountability for your thoughts, for your mindset and say, why do I believe this to be true? Is it true? And if it's not true, what do I want to believe instead?
Yeah. I think for me, like when I think about kind of a eyes wide open mentality of like, why not? Like I was literally talking to Abby. She's my mentor. I was telling you this morning about, you asked me that as well. Like, do I want to have kids? And I have this eyes wide open mentality in terms of, well, what else can I do? Right? Why not? And I hear even my husband say, oh, I only know this industry. I only can do this. And I think that there's little buzzwords that if like those listening, like, I don't know if I can, or like, what are some patterns? You're a coach, like you see it all the time. What's your advice or how do we even become aware of a limiting belief for those listening in?
Anything, that's in your head that is keeping you stuck or keeping you small, such as like, oh, that's too big of a goal, or I don't think I can, or you're not good enough, or no, that's not destined for you, or like, I can never be that.
Or I have ADHD, or I have dyslexia.
I have anxiety. I have depression. Those are all symptoms that you can work with, but you don't have to identify yourself as the disorder.
And I feel like, at least for me, like I know, like when people say I have ADHD or I have anxiety, it's a way to stay safe, right? We love as human beings, I don't know, we like labels. I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat. Like we love an identity, but I feel like those identities can keep us safe and people like that. But why do you think people resist the things that can help them?
Go deeper.
Like we all know that going outside to the gym, right? But it's hard to get there. Or I need to cut out that sugar. I should probably drink more water. Or, we have these things that we resist to keep comfortable. What do you think that has to deal with?
I think we've become so routine and it's become such a consistent habit that it's uncomfortable for us to break it. It's harder to break it. And one of my favorite scientists and lecturers is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he talks about how our personality creates our personal reality. So if you're not enjoying your reality, you need to change your personality. And that's can sound overwhelming to people. Yeah, but like for you to change your reality, you need to start changing your personality. And so, for example, like if you want to be fit, you need to be someone who wakes up maybe before work and goes to the gym.
Live that life.
If you want to be successful, you need to be someone maybe who's not out at the clubs drinking all night.
Like patterns, noticing our habits. If you want to be healthier, probably stop smoking or vaping, right? Like patterns, I think that we don't see. And it sounds like too, was there a changing moment for you? Or have you always been that way? It sounds like your upbringing was super supportive, but have there been moments for you that you're like, I feel stuck? How do I get unstuck?
So for me, I feel like it's the most challenging moments in my life that have been the most difficult, that have caused me to level up the most and completely transform myself. And I'm so grateful for those moments. For example, this moment with the horse accident, like now having that as a story that I'm like, wow, I made it through a really difficult, traumatic time. Or when I had my heart shattered from like a romance that abruptly ended, or when like going through a career transition, all of these moments that we run from have the potential to be our greatest teachers. And getting unstuck, again, like I go lean into that discomfort and I say, bring it on. Like, I can't wait to see who I am on the other side of this. And so often we want to blame everything outside of ourselves for why we're not feeling good inside. You have to take accountability for your own state of being and start to make choices and decisions that will get you out of that.
And I feel like, us as coaches, there's an awareness piece that is like part ingrained in us. But for those that don't even know how to get outside that comfort zone, it's scary. Like people don't naturally live that way. How do you even start that?
So here's something I realized recently, that we need to make decisions that make us feel good. Like feeling good should be the priority.
Yeah.
So if
Not guilty.
No, make a decision that will support you feeling good. Because when you feel good, you're going to attract better in your life and you're going to set yourself up for success. So if it's overwhelming for you to decide to open up and be honest with someone about how you're actually feeling, but knowing on the other side of that, you're going to feel good when you get that off your chest, lean into that, experiment with that, lean into it, move towards it, whether it's going to be going to a workout class that's harder for you. Like there's no easier way I can tell you than to expose yourself to the fear itself. There's no like magic pill on like how to get over the fear you're having, as opposed to just like lean in and like expose yourself to it.
How do you think fear has played a huge role? Has it played a huge role in your journey?
It has. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm at the point now where like my favorite things to do are the things that challenge me the most.
Yeah. Like being challenge oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a challenge girly. Like 75 hard changed my life. I'm actually going to create like a 75 intentional, because I think that there's things that when we do something for 75 days, we learn a lot about ourselves, especially like when you're not drinking and when you're reading, like when you're showing up for yourself, it's hard actually. Like, and you're saying like lean into that uncomfortability. I think that should be our normal. And I always tell myself, like, I don't know about you or what comes up even when I say this, but if it scares you, do it.
Yeah.
Like that's how I lean.
Yeah. To dance with the fear, to dance with what challenges you, because eventually you're like, wow, I have overcome hard things in the past. Why can't I overcome this? And I feel like it's almost inviting you in. It's almost like alluring to me at this point. Like, what am I scared of? And like, let me pursue that and overcome it. It's like a challenge. And I like that.
How did you learn that mindset?
I think just over time, what I realized is like my most difficult moments have shaped me the most. And like the things I'm scared of are what are going to help me grow the most. It's easy to stay the same. It's easy to continue living the same life day in and day out. But the reason you're listening to this show, the reason you're called to this is because you want to see change in your life. And I'm telling you, the way to see that is to lean into the fear, lean into the discomfort, and expose yourself to it.
Yeah, I think the exposure, and it might be starting smaller, right? It's not saying go quit your job right away. I don't think you're saying that. I think for me, when I hear this, like start small. It might be for the person that hates being alone, right? Go sit at a coffee shop by yourself. Like there's controlled stress, right? There's controlled fear that you can do. Like you're saying, be an experiment. test it.
And so like, for example, say you want to have this difficult conversation. Instead of just letting this replay in your mind over and over and over again, take pen to paper and journal about it. Talk to a close friend about it. Start opening up about it instead of keeping it locked inside of you, which can just completely spiral out of control.
And I think when you're saying that, I'm guilty of that. Like for me, I've learned to not share. I didn't have an environment to share. I always had to have it together. And I'm sure people listening can relate to that. It's like, oh my gosh, well, what are they going to think of me? Or what are they going to do with that information when I tell them something so personal? And I started a YPO women's group in Jackson to practice this. It's so scary. It's not easy for me. And I know that, but I don't want to keep living that way, right? I want that change. And so I think for when you're saying, talking about having that difficult conversation, those even listening is like, this is my sign to have it. Because as you're speaking, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my sign to keep leaning in. Yeah. It's going to feel funny. It's going to feel weird, but that's when I know it's working. That's how I know I'm changing.
And again, you don't have to stop listening to this podcast and have the conversation immediately. Maybe you journal about what you would say in that conversation. Maybe you make a plan as to when would be the best time. Maybe you seek counsel from someone you're really close to about how to best handle it. But those are all steps in the right direction, as opposed to just sitting in isolation, letting these thoughts consume you.
Yeah. And I feel like that's such a good point, is practice with someone you trust, right? Like, and it might not even be trust, but like someone that feels safe.
Yeah. Like role play it.
Yeah. Right. Like role play. I mean, that's a huge part of my coaching, is the way we communicate with ourselves. Is, reality is a lot kinder than our thoughts. And that's a huge thing. It's like, wait, it often goes better than I think. Yes. And so just try, just do. And I think the sharing piece is a huge part of growth. Yeah. Sharing, talking about it, professing it. And it's a way we process too.
And here's what we're really hitting on, is it's so important to live a life that's true to you. And if you're living a life that's really not you, if the things you're doing aren't true to what you want to be doing, if the people you're surrounding yourself with aren't true to who you are, you're sending mixed signals to the universe. And so I was thinking about this earlier when I was eating breakfast, and I wanted to bring it up. Say you want to get to a store you've never been to before. What do? You put it in the maps on your phone normally, or your GPS, and you follow the directions.
Maps all the time.
You use the maps. So if you're trying to get to a new destination that you've never been to before, whether it's a certain destination in life or just something you're trying to navigate for the first time, you make a plan and you follow the steps. So many of us walk out aimlessly, or we're just ruminating in these thoughts. Make a plan to get to the destination you're trying to go to and follow the steps. And there's so many books, there's so many podcasts, there's so many summits you can watch that talk about navigating what you're trying to navigate. Because the truth is, you're not the only one.
And I relate to that. Sometimes I even think, oh my gosh, I need to have it all together and perfect. Just launch is what I'm hearing. You just one step in front of her.
Oh my gosh, launch it. Because we think we have to have it all figured out before we launch, but there's no way to do that. You're going to have to pivot, adjust, and change once you launch, but you won't have the information to do so until you actually launch it.
And then you can launch again.
Yeah. Relaunch, reshape, redesign, redo. But you won't have the information till after you begin. So that first step is oftentimes the hardest, and it is the most crucial. Take it now before you're ready. Rip the Band-Aid off. So many think oh, I have to know how to get to the top of the mountain before taking the first step. Just focus on the first step.
Yeah. I always go 1, 2, 3. The first 3 things, or even that top paper. We have a stack of papers. What's on that top? It's probably just taking that step or making that call and I'm not trying to downplay that. We don't need to fix ourselves. We don't need to have it perfect. But what I'm hearing you say over and over is just believe in yourself. Have that courage.
Have faith. Lean in. I think it was Brian Johnson who maybe I heard saying this, and it's do it now, do it now, do it now. I repeat that to myself whenever it's do I do the dishes now or later? Do it now, do it now, do it now. Do I call him now or later? Do it now. Literally start living your life that way, and then you'll become a person who gets shit done.
And I think that we don't overthink. Mm-hmm. I mean, overthinking is a huge part of a pattern for a lot of us, is how do I get out of that? I'm stuck. I'm tired of myself, the limiting beliefs, the self-sabotage. But I love that. Just the do it now. Do it while you're thinking of it.
Do it now. That's coming up for a reason. Another thing is we have, as humans, 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, which is so many more thoughts than I would have even realized. And up to 90% of those thoughts can be repetitive, and up to 80% can be negative. So you're having all these negative thought loop spirals. You're not alone. Everyone's running around on their own unconscious programming. It's important to start to tune into what those thoughts are and start to restructure and reframe those thoughts so they're in alignment with where you want to go.
did you learn that through a specific experience, or how did, like, you're listening to podcasts, we talk about so many books. I mean, we're in the same, like, it's the mindset. It's a muscle. And we talked a little bit about that before the show.
Before we dive back in today's discussion, I want to take a moment to share something special with you, HFH fam. Have you ever felt like there's more to life, but you're not quite sure how to unlock it? That's where life coaching comes in. It's not just about solving our problems. It's about uncovering your true potential and living your best life. Imagine waking up each morning excited about the day ahead, feeling confident in your abilities and ready to tackle any challenge that comes your way. That's the power of a healthy mindset. And the only difference between you and that reality is taking the first step. And that's why I am so excited to offer you a complimentary coaching session. It's a chance for us to connect, explore, and uncover the limitless possibilities that await you. Whether you're looking to overcome obstacles, find clarity in your goals, or simply cultivate more joy and fulfillment in your life. And I'm here to support you every step of the way. So, if you're ready to experience the transformation in that what life coaching can bring, simply head down to the show notes and click the link where you'll find instructions on how to claim your coaching session. Now, let's get back to our episode.
Talk about the mindset, and we talk about self-resilience. How can one listening in just start to build that self-resilience?
Again, it's like a muscle that is strengthened over time. So like listening to this.
Like our butts. I'm trying to grow my glutes right now.
It takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. So like even tuning into this episode right now, you're starting to rewire your mind because you're learning new things. It's called neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
New neural pathways can form in your brain at any time. Your intelligence isn't fixed. It can be strengthened and developed. And so tune into shows like this, read books, read about neuroscience. I mean, my master's program was so enlightening for me and like has set me on this path to just learn more about like what's really possible at a human level. Cause I think we're finding out like so much more is possible than we ever realized.
And believing it. I think the affirmations are great. The journaling is great. The meditation is great. The workouts are great. Like you can do the checking the box. But I think when I started to actually believe in my practice isn't a normal practice. Like we all have our daily routines. But for you, what are some consistent things in your daily routines to help you with your mindset? What are you doing?
Sure. I think what's big for me is I did a behavioral change project and I wanted to create more mindfulness in my days. And one of the things that I started doing is putting my phone in the kitchen to sleep. So it goes on sleep mode around from literally 8 p.m. to around 8 a.m. That's time away from technology for me. And that has created so much more space in my days. So once the phone goes to bed, enter the room, dim lights, kind of like meditation music, warm shower, skincare routine, some journaling, some reading, and then some red light therapy before bed. And I sleep with my Aura ring. Oops, it's on this finger. My Aura ring here, which I highly recommend because I actually went to Brian Johnson, who's the most measured human on earth. I went to his Don't Die Summit in LA a few weeks ago. And he said, our lives need to be built around our sleep.
Yeah. Okay.
For anyone who's anxious, depressed, spiraling, are you getting 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night? Or are we drinking too much caffeine or alcohol? Like sleep is so important. And so setting up that nighttime routine for the good night's sleep, then waking up, gratitude, thank you for this day. We'll do some mirror work. Good morning, Lauren. I love you. Thank you for showing up today. And then mindfulness meditation, where I'm visualizing the future I intend to create for myself. And I'm saying positive affirmations, the I am statements. I am love. I am light. I am abundant. I am worthy. And I attract everything I desire.
And you do this every day?
Yes.
I see. I have a hard time with like the everyday because there's that perfection piece. And I mean, growing up, I was borderline OCD in terms of like my environment was so unstable that like for me, like I'm not hard on myself doing the same thing, but I love hearing, again, people give so much emphasis on morning routines, but you're like a hardcore night routine too.
I think your day starts the night before.
Okay.
And for our listeners, let's just say like, what is the 80-20? Yeah. I don't need to say 100% of the time. There are nights where like I'm
You're human. Good. Thank you.
Like, yeah, no. But like I like to, if I did this every day, I know how much of a difference it makes. So like strive to do it as much as possible.
Yeah. And I think, and that that's what 75 hard, like my biggest, I wouldn't say fault, but I'm learning to be consistent. Like I was in like probably 15, 20 homes before I was adopted. And so for me, I didn't have consistency. So my consistency is inconsistency. But when I am home and I'm grounded in doing the same things, I actually do notice a difference in myself, my mentality. I'm just way more like, not like, what's next, right? And so I think I love that your day starts the night before. So act like it.
And I mean, again, it's prioritizing doing things that make you feel good. And I want to piggyback on your 75 hard. I just did dry January and I'm sticking with it because I feel so good. And I wasn't a huge drinker. I would have, like a wine pairing or a spicy skinny margarita. It's fun. But the more I learn about neuroscience and what alcohol does to the brain and body, I'm like, I feel really limitless right now we're close to like 45 days no drinking.
Yeah. I mean, it just starts. Like if again, it's these patterns, it's noticing. I think it's just collecting data on ourselves. And, another thing that I do in terms of just tracking my habits, what 75 hard helped me realize that I've done it 3 times now. So for me, I kind of live that mentality. Again, a challenge-oriented mind. I like it. I feel, again, it's that purpose. And I think purpose is such a beautiful catalyst for change. If you guys have a purpose or a meaning or a mantra or a vision board, that's our purpose and work towards it. I think for me, like the consistency of that. But
I want to ask our listeners, don't you want to know what you're truly capable of?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Surprise yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
Like this is we get to experience, we get this one life. Like we don't know if there's another one. Don't you want to see what's possible?
Yeah. And I know that I have a good time drinking. I want to know I have a good time not drinking. Right.
And that's harder. That's harder for me. It's easier to order the margarita.
Yeah.
It's harder not to.
Yeah. And so that's something that, again, you're going to lean into. So again, that's another good a sign. I feel like, okay, if it's hard for you, try the opposite. Like, or if it's not hard, try the opposite, right? Yeah. So yours is, okay, you're habitually, you have that margarita or occasional wine. Perfect. I'm not saying you have to be an alcoholic to start something. You don't have to. You can live in this balanced, harmonized, right? But it's just constantly fine tuning our lives. That's what I'm constantly, okay, I know I can order a glass of wine. Let me try not to.
Yeah. So, I've been having the mocktail.
Yeah.
And that's been fun to experiment with.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. What's your mocktail go to?
I mean, sometimes I'll be like, I'll have this spicy skinny just with no tequila. They're like, that's like lime juice and sparkling water. I'm like, fine.
Perfect.
But it's nice to have something aside from water.
Right.
So when you're making a change, like for example, I gave up caffeine for a while because I'm sensitive to caffeine. And so I found a decaf cold brew that I love. And so just having that, because it's like the experience of having it.
Yeah. And replacing that habit with something else. Like, again, vaping, you probably just replace with gum. Or, I always say like, I'm just going to try this week something different. And maybe it'll stick for the next week. And maybe it'll stick for the next. But yeah, the data points is maybe you're a sugar craver, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to try just doing natural sugar.
Yes,
like
exactly.
And I don't like this extreme, like 75 hard is extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, it is extreme. It's like all or nothing. But I needed that extreme to bring me back in the middle. But creating that consistent and knowing like, okay, I didn't do it the day before. I'm going to try again today.
Yeah. And how will you know if you don't try? And another thing, like have the vision, like sit down with yourself and be like, who am I? What do I want in this life?
Yeah, I think the constant checking in with ourselves is so crucial. Like, what are you afraid of? Yeah. And we have came from 2 different backgrounds, which is why I'm selfishly so excited to have you on, is because you had an abundant childhood. You were supported. And, support is a huge part of having that courage and having that belief. Okay, I have a selfish question, speaking of selfish, but what is like a ridiculous wellness trend that you kind of love right now?
Oh my gosh, this is a big question. Wow, putting me on the spot.
This is completely off. I was just popping.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Let's be ridiculous.
Let's talk about red meat right now, because this is something a lot of people are anti.
Okay.
Like a lot of I tune into like Jim Quick, Brain Coach, or like Brian Johnson, and they're not like speaking avidly on like, is it okay to eat red meat or not? Like,
why is
it
even
good for the brain or not? I have been eating a lot of red meat, more like protein and veggies.
Yes, that's my diet.
It's really good. I love what it does for my brain. Even like Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter, has this like, I don't know if it's a carnivore diet or what it's called, but like she eats meat like 3 times a day.
It's carnivore diet. That's an extreme too, right?
Yeah. So
you're a meat girl.
I'm tuning in. I'm a meat girly, and I'm like, let's order the steak.
Well, order that steak. I'm such a big meat and veggie girl. I think that's really helped me actually with my like whole weight loss journey. I lost like 50 pounds.
Wow.
And like my ruptured implant, I kept keeping my weight on. And so after my implant was out, I got them redone, but my body started working. But James, he's very into hunting. And so we are eating elk. We're making elk chili. Like if I actually crave something, it's like, I'm going to reach for that piece of meat. I think that's such a weird trend to not eat meat. I don't know.
But I think the food pyramid's upside down because what's at the bottom? Like grains.
It should be
and
meat.
like
I think protein.
Yeah, protein should be at the bottom.
I feel better, like at
and
least
then, like,
energy.
Veggies. Yeah. So I don't know. When you look at our, not to hate on the medical or the healthcare system, but like pay attention to what feels good to you. It's so bio-individual. I studied at Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IAN health coach for a year and a half. And it's like, how do you take care of yourself from the inside out? Yeah. And you have to find what works for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. And even as I've gotten older, I don't know about you, my skin had totally changed. I got acne in like my late 20s. And so I talk a lot about acne, but again, we have to work with our bodies at different times.
Have to.
Or even like if you're going through like a lot of growth, I don't know about you, but I eat more when I'm actually like in that challenge mindset because I feel like my body it takes a lot of brain power, I feel like, to heal. Am I crazy?
For skin, I'm really big on light therapy. Have you experimented with that?
I have one that it's like a $2,500 one.
Is it a blue light?
Well, I have the blue light spot treatment. So I'll sit actually in our sauna and do that. And like, I'll literally hold it and it's like blue light therapy and I'll put on the red light on the sauna. That's about all I've done with it because there's so many on the market. There's one that I really want, which is it's a medical grade. It's $2,500.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be purchase conscious and I got a cold plunge. I got a sauna. Like I'm like, pump your brake. For me, it's like, okay, I have a spot treatment one, but I know that helps. Have you seen a difference in your skin using that?
I mean, when I was living in New York City in my younger 20s, working a lot, I was getting kind of like hormonal acne on my chin, and blue light therapy really helped. We're going to get into this, and I want to open it up to our listeners. The wellness sanctuary that I'm opening in San Diego next month, there will be a light therapy panel. It is red light. Because the red light for me, I've incorporated into my morning and evening routine. And I'll listen to, say, a Joe Dispenza meditation while under the light. And it is so relaxing. And I'm starting to see a lot more glowiness in my skin.
Yeah, that's like next on my list. And when I'm in San Diego, I'll just come hop in your wellness. So wait, tell me about your wellness studio. I'm so excited. You're opening this year?
I mean, in the next 30 days, I expect it to be open. It is the Fieldswell, which is the name of my coaching business, my podcast, the Fieldswell Wellness Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And it's where individuals can come to really feel well, to really feel good and devote that time to themselves. The question I asked Courtney was, I was like, okay, I can go to Equinox to work out my body or Rebel Boot Camp here in San Diego. I can go to Sweet Green to like nourish, and like eat something healthy. Where can I go to work on my mindset? Yeah. And so that's what I want to create with Fieldswell. And I really want to tap in and make it like a multi-sensory experience where individuals can go and just like feel like they can leave their worries at the door. They can read a book on personal development. They can sit in a mindfulness meditation. They can do their light therapy. They can have a coaching session with me. Eventually, we'll be able to record the podcast there. So it's like an all-in-one shot for taking care of your well-being.
And I think that's so important. And I love this edition. I selfishly want to come back to San Diego. It's so special here. And like, what better place to have that? But congrats on that.
Thank you.
Guys, go and let me know how you love it. I'm excited.
Yes,
so you said in the next 30
visit.
days, but what month? Because this podcast will come out.
Okay, fair. You know, I just came from there today.
Yeah.
We're still doing the build out. We're in Feb. I want it to be open in mid-March of 2025.
Okay, so here we are.
So when this goes live, it may already be open, baby.
Run.
Come.
And we'll have them mention the podcast so they know that that's where they heard it from. But let's talk about this for a second. Like, do you have any doubts in yourself in terms of opening up? Like, what's going through your mind as you open a new business? Like, how are you feeling?
So it feels like it's so interesting. I think this has been a lot of like spiritual alignment, energetic alignment, my knowledge in quantum physics, my belief in myself due to the work I put in over the past decade in regard to like, yoga teacher, trainer, health and wellness coach, life coach, master's in psychology, podcast, TEDx. Like, I'm like, okay, so many of those things were on my list. And like, I've done it. And so I'm like, this is what I feel is the next progression. And so I realized it is betting on myself. Like I'm opening up a storefront essentially.
Yeah.
And like, but I've never felt more called to something. And I feel like it's been a beautiful evolution of like my life path and force. And it feels like I'm like this sounds weird, like I'm having a child. Like this is my baby.
It is. It's your metaphorical child. It's your spiritual coming of you. It's your unbirthing of yourself.
And so, it is trusting and believing in yourself. So there are moments where I have to catch myself in my thoughts. They're like, what if this? What if that? And I'm like, Lauren, lean in. Like, we're doing this. It's happening. It's already exists. Like, the lease is already signed. Yeah. The furniture is already purchased. Yeah. Like, there's no going back now. So why would I have those limiting beliefs that are going to keep me stuck, that are going to have me vibrating at a low vibrational frequency? Why not say, this is happening. This is going to be amazing. Let me give it all I got.
And when you do have those thoughts that come in, how do you, I don't want to say deflect, but how do you move on from them? How do you not let them overtake? For those listening in, like, we all have those thoughts that come in, and we've talked a little bit about this, but let's go a little deeper in terms of what's your practice?
So I think Gabby Bernstein may have come up with this. It's like the choose again method. So if you have a limiting belief or thought that you don't want to be thinking, choose again. So instead of me thinking this won't work or this could be a disaster, instead, what if this is amazing or this will work? Something different. And again, it's what could feel true to you.
And that's a hard one for me. I again, talking to Abby, she's my mentor, but like life coaches and doctors and psychologists, we all have human tendencies. So yeah, we have thoughts. Okay, we're not perfect. But my thought is exactly that, is like, how do I overcome that? Right.
And especially like as a woman, I know at certain times of the month, for example, when it's like our period, my thoughts are a little more erratic. And but I can have those more thoughts, that are more like, questioning what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. Breathe. What thought is going to align with the trajectory of life we're already on?
Or, right. Let's entertain the other side. Right. I always do. I go, okay, this thought, okay, I'm not going to make it. For instance, let's just do something simple. I'm not going to make it. I don't know if I can do that. But then I also, if you entertain the other side, you got to do the other side. Okay, well, what if I can make it? What does that look like? So the negative will always come in. But for me, my personal practice is, okay, flip this script so it reflects something positive and then daydream about that. For just, you spent 30 seconds going down the rabbit hole. So go down the...
So what if the opposite is true? And again, is it true?
Right.
The negative one, is that true?
And that's CBT.
And if you don't know it to be true, okay, well, let's believe something different instead.
Is there a belief that you've had to completely unlearn to grow? Was there something that, had you had to work through personally?
Yes. Here's one. I think it's caring so much about what other people think of you.
Okay.
And then I was like, do I want their life? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, why do I care so much about what they think of me?
Yeah. I think that's a common thought we can all have. We all can possibly have in our whole life.
Yeah. And so once you start not caring what others think, an amazing book that I read is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins.
She just came out with this book.
It is so good. Yeah. This book, everyone needs to read this book. Let other adults be adults. And focus on yourself, because that's what you can control. And so focus on you, put yourself out there, follow your calling, be vulnerable, dance with the fear, and like live your life.
But how did you learn to that book just came out? So
it just takes time. It takes time, Courtney. I think what I realized is like the more I pursued my vision, the more I kept putting myself out there, the more my life started to take shape. And I waited so long for that to happen. And it was like certain moments that lit a fire under my ass, like a relationship ending. And I'm like, what am I waiting for to like go after my dream? Because I always prioritized like a relationship, a career, this or that in front of myself. And I was like, this is my life. Like, I don't know how much longer I have, but I want to make the most of the time that I do.
And I think that's so important, is like, we have to be the advocate of our lives, because no one's going to live our dream. No one's going to follow our heart. No one's going to speak it for us. Right. We have to be the advocates of our life. And that's also saying no or yes to things that don't serve us. Or like what I hear is saying yes to the dream. Keeping like, again, full circle.
Yeah.
It's like a horse. You have your blinders on and you just keep going.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that.
And no one's going to be able to see your dream like you can. And so when someone don't expect others to believe wholeheartedly in your dream. And if anyone has a limiting mindset and can't encourage you to go forward on your path, pay attention to those you surround yourself with, because you need those who kind of help lift you up and believe in you, because you don't want to be pulled down. And those who are pulling you down, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their own internal reality. They're not able to see a bigger picture.
And I think oftentimes, as I was thinking of this, like a lot of people project because they're insecure or they're afraid to take the lead.
It's only a mirror of what's going on inside of them. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, so I think separating that and keeping that separate. Just because someone says something doesn't mean we have to agree or do anything.
Or believe it.
We can just listen to disagree. And I've had to learn that. Like, growing up and following my dream, because even last week I posted something. So I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm on a board for foster care and adoption programming in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I did a post, and I don't talk about, like, I was like, I haven't posted it. I haven't shared it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I went on LinkedIn and I shared. And my adoptive dad, I haven't talked to in 5 years, just completely lights me up. He says, I've always known you were fake and unworthy, and now I see this post, and this is just absolutely ridiculous. Then he sends another comment, and I go, this is not okay. But in my head, I'm like, this is a reminder to keep going. I cried. Don't get me wrong. I cried. I allowed myself, I can be sad. Like, that comment does hurt. But then I go, but it's not true. And that's when I'm like, if I don't care what he thinks, I go, what part of me believes it's true, I would have started learning and living it. But it goes back to like the thoughts and people say, like, I just lived it. Like, and it's never going to end. It's never going to end. But my thing is how I outcame it was, it's not true.
And does anyone know you better than you?
No.
So I think people need to start taking accountability for, like, you are the master of your life. You are the creator.
Right.
And to step into that role fully instead of being in like the passenger seat, letting other people tell you who you are.
And don't let them. Even doctors, right? They told you full circle, like they told you wouldn't be able to walk. They told your parents, like all these things. Is that true? No, don't give people more power than you. And that's what I learned with my breast implant or, my own past, or even a week ago, my dad writing that comment. This conversation has been so incredible. We've talked about resilience and mindset and self-sabotage and just your success story of you opening your business. But what I like to do to end this episode is to just ask you, what does hustle for happiness mean to you?
Hustle for happiness means, what I take from it is that happiness is a mindset, and it almost needs to be earned by the choices that you make day in and day out. So you do have to hustle for it. And I think it really starts with believing in yourself and going after the life that you want.
And it's work. And I love that definition. I always love asking my guests on this, and I love that. It's a mindset. All right. So where can our listeners and our viewers find you, stalk you, go to your wellness center?
So you can visit me on Instagram. It's my name, Lauren Fields. You can go to my website, fieldswell.com. You can listen to the Fieldswell podcast, or you can visit the Fieldswell Wellness Sanctuary in Rancho Santa Fe, California, opening March of 2025.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to just close with, or?
I read this quote, I think it was yesterday, by Theodore Roosevelt, and it just said, if you believe you can, you're already halfway there.
Just like getting to the gym.
Yeah.
Once you're there, you're good.
Yeah.
One decision away from a solid mindset.
You're one decision away from a completely different life. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, HFH fam, that's a wrap. But before you go, let's talk about Happier Hour. Think of it like hiring a personal trainer for your mindset. You can do this all alone, or you can have someone help you, guide you, push you, and help you see things you wouldn't normally see on your own. And just like training your body, one good session can seriously change everything. Now, I don't want money to be the reason you're staying stuck. So I created this specialty coaching session to get you moving. DM me Happier Hour at Hustle for Happiness Podcast Instagram, or just click the links below in the show notes and book your session. Oh, and don't forget, you can watch this episode live on YouTube at Hey Courtney Brooke and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Thank you again for showing up for you. Until next time, keep growing, keep pushing, and I'll see you back here soon. Love you guys.